Some models become famous, some become icons, but Eva Herzigová, she became a fantasy. In the 90s, she wasn't just beautiful, she was too beautiful. So perfect that people couldn't believe she was real. Then came the Wonder Bra campaign. One billboard, 2 words, "Hello boys," and the world lost its mind. She was everywhere. Her face, her body, her name, it's impossible to escape. Designers wanted her, magazines obsessed over her. The press followed her every move. But what happens when the world sees you as too good to be true? When your beauty stops being a gift and starts feeling like a curse? This is the story of Eva Herzigová, the model who was too good to be true. Before the billboards, the magazine covers, and the international fame, Eva Herzigová was just another girl in a small town no one had heard of. She was born on March 10, 1973 in Litvinov, Czechoslovakia, a quiet industrial town where the idea of becoming a supermodel seemed impossible. There were no fashion magazines, no designer boutiques, no glimpse of the glamorous world that she would one day rule. Because modeling wasn't something girls from Litvinov dreamed about, it wasn't even something they knew about. But Eva was different. She had blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, and a bone structure so striking that people stopped to stare. And when she was 16, fate intervened. A modeling scout spotted her and urged her to enter a beauty contest in Prague. She had never done anything like it before. She had no experience, no training, no idea what to expect. But the moment she walked onto that stage, it became clear. Eva Herzigová was otherworldly. So of course, she won. That victory changed everything. Suddenly, she wasn't just a girl from Litvinov anymore. She was on a one-way ticket to Paris, where the real fashion world was waiting. But Paris was overwhelming. The lights, the cameras, the chaos of the industry, it was nothing like home. She didn't speak the language. She didn't know anyone. But she had something that made people take notice. She had that thing, that kind of presence that couldn't be taught, the kind of beauty that need explanation. Almost instantly, she started landing jobs. Designers wanted her for their runways. Photographers wanted her for their covers. She became the face of Guess Jeans, following in the footsteps of Claudia Schiffer. She walked for Chanel, Dior, and Valentino, proving that she was a force to be reckoned with. But the moment that would define her career hadn't happened yet. The one moment that would turn her into a global obsession was still waiting for her. And when it came, it would be bigger than anything the fashion world had ever seen. In 1994, Eva Herzigová walked into an edition that would change her life. She had already started to conquer the fashion world, runways, magazine covers, luxury campaigns, but nothing could have prepared her for the job that would turn her into a legend. Wonder Bra was looking for a model to front their new campaign. It wasn't just another lingerie ad. It was bold, unapologetic, and designed to make history. Every top model in the industry wanted it. The competition was brutal, but the moment she stepped in front of the camera, everything changed. Eva was hypnotic. There was something about the way she looked into the lens, something effortless yet commanding. The campaign didn't need a forced smile or exaggerated poses. It needed a woman who didn't have to try, and that was Eva Herzigová. The final image was simple, black and white, minimal, but completely unforgettable. Eva, standing there in nothing but a black Wonder Bra, tousled blonde hair, a subtle smirk, and 2 words printed in simple black text. "Hello, boys." And just like that, the world changed. The reaction was immediate, explosive, and completely out of control. Men stared, women whispered, drivers got distracted. Car accidents spiked near Wonder Bra billboards. Cities debated whether the ad was too provocative to be displayed in public. Some were taken down, others were stolen. Even some politicians called for it to be banned. But despite the controversy, despite the chaos, one thing was undeniable. It worked. Sales skyrocketed. Wonder Bra became a household name, and Eva Herzigová, she became bigger than ever. But something strange started happening. She wasn't just a model anymore. She was everywhere, in everything, in everyone's mind. Strangers thought they knew her. They claimed her. The whole world were obsessing over her. At first, it felt like power, but soon it would start to feel like a prison. Eva Herzigová was on every magazine cover, every billboard, every major runway. Designers fought tooth and nail just to work with her. And all of that led her to become something that was more than human. People weren't just admiring her beauty anymore. They were questioning it. Was she real? Was she even human? Or was she some kind of illusion? Too perfect to be true? Her face, her body, her expression. Every detail was dissected, analyzed, and endlessly compared. No one could believe she actually looked like that. The campaign had turned her into a fantasy, but fantasies don't belong to themselves. And now, neither did she. The press followed her everywhere. Her personal life wasn't hers anymore. Paparazzi waited outside hotels, reporters camped outside fashion shows, every movement was turned into a headline. It wasn't just about what she was wearing, it was about who she was with, how she looked, whether she was aging, whether she was gaining weight. She had gone from being a model to being public property. When she married Tico Torres, the drummer of Bon Jovi in 1996, the media ate it up. A rock star and a supermodel, it was the ultimate fantasy. But 2 years later, when the marriage ended, the tone changed. The same magazines that had celebrated her wedding now picked apart their divorce. And behind the scenes, the expectations were just brutal. Eva had built a career on being effortlessly flawless, and now that effortless perfection was crushing her. The industry didn't allow mistakes. The cameras didn't allow bad angles. The designers didn't allow aging. Eva was exhausted. She had spent years being the most desired woman in the world, but she was starting to realize something. She was being possessed. She was trapped inside a version of herself that wasn't allowed to change, grow, or evolve. She had to be exactly what the world wanted her to be, forever. And then, all of a sudden, the world moved on. The early 2000s arrived and the supermodel era was dying. The industry wasn't obsessed with models anymore. Now, it wanted actresses, pop stars, and Hollywood celebrities. Eva had spent her entire career being the most wanted woman on the planet. And now, she was faced with the one thing she had never known before: what it felt like to be forgotten. But instead of chasing relevance, she did something unexpected. She walked away. And for a while, Eva Herzigová disappeared. Eva Herzigová had spent a decade being everything the world wanted her to be. And now, for the first time in her career, she had the chance to be something else. The calls were slowing down, the magazine covers weren't as frequent, the designers were now working with younger models. And in fashion, when the world moves on, it doesn't look back. For many models, that moment is terrifying. It's the moment where they desperately chase relevance, clinging to what's left of their fame. But Eva didn't do that. Instead, she took a step away from the chaos. She knew the fashion industry had an expiration date for women like her, and she refused to let them decide when she was finished. She had spent years being a supermodel, a cover girl, a global obsession. Now she wanted to be more than that. So she turned to acting. She had already dipped into film during her peak modeling years, appearing in Les Anges Gardiens alongside Gérard Depardieu, but now she wanted to fully step into a new role. She landed a part in Modigliani, playing Olga Khokhlova, the first wife of Pablo Picasso. It was a serious role, a step into something artistic, something real, a sharp contrast from the perfect image that had followed her for years. But the press wasn't ready to see her as anything other than the Wonder Bra model. They questioned whether she could really act or if she was just another supermodel trying to stay relevant. The same media that had once idolized her perfection was now doubting if she was capable of being more than just a face. But Eva didn't care. For the first time in her life, she wasn't trying to be what the world wanted her to be. She was doing what she wanted, and she wasn't done with fashion either. While the supermodel era was fading, Eva still had something that many of her peers had lost: timeless appeal. Unlike other models who disappeared entirely, she found a way to evolve. She embraced more selective campaigns, working with Dior, Louis Vuitton, and Dolce & Gabbana. proving that she was still a force in the industry. Eva was never meant to fade away. She had stepped away from the supermodel spotlight, reinvented herself in film, and built a life beyond the image the world had forced onto her. She wasn't chasing relevance, she wasn't clinging to the past. And yet, fashion still wasn't ready to let her go. While other supermodels faded from the public eye, she remained an icon of timeless beauty, elegance, and grace. And when she walked back into fashion, it was like a legend got back in action. But her greatest comeback wasn't on the runway. It was in how she chose to live her life. She settled down with Gregorio Marciai, the Italian businessman who became her longtime partner. They had 3 children together, and for the first time, Eva embraced a role that had nothing to do with cameras or magazine covers. She had spent her life belonging to the world. Now, she belonged to herself. Yet, even in her private life, she never lost the aura that made her special. She remained a muse, a mentor, a presence that never stopped inspiring. She became a judge on modeling competitions, guiding the next generation of models who grew up idolizing her. She used her platform to speak about body image, the pressures of perfection, and the reality of an industry that had both built her up and tried to break her down. She knew the price of being too good to be true. She had lived it, but she had also survived it. And today, Eva Herzigová is still here, still modeling, still walking red carpets, still proving that beauty isn't just about youth. It's about presence. She was never just another model. She was Eva Herzigová. And too good to be true? Maybe. But unlike the others, she never disappeared.